Hey everybody. Hey, how you doing, Jack?
I'm good, thank you, Andrew. How are you?
Dylan, how you doing?
Yeah, I feel great, thank you. Yourself?
Good. How you doing, Tyrone?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Thanks for having me.
Cool. We got
It's a
UK.
pleasure.
We got UK in the house. UK represent.
We've got USA in the house too, man. We've got two Northamptoners in the house. Three Northamptoners.
Northampton Town.
Yeah,
Cool.
not too bad.
Speaking of UK, we got Dave Ellison from the UK, from Liverpool. Good to see you here, Dave.
See you later, Liverpool.
Hi, Dave.
So yeah, welcome everybody. Let us know where you're watching from. In the comments underneath. And then just a reminder that if you are watching in the Facebook groups, please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pics so they'll be able to credit you when you comment or ask questions. That's the little link, StreamYard.com/Facebook. And I guess while people are coming in, let me get it a little bit up. Here he's got someone's from Germany. So yeah, if you can give StreamYard permission, then it'll show your name and profile pic instead of Facebook user. And then we got Hannah from Belgrade. Good to see you here, Hannah. Nice to see you together, guys. We got Michael Benz. Michael Benz is here from Arizona.
Another Influx artist.
Cool.
Photographer. I love Michael's work.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, so real quick before we get started, let me just give a shout out, say thank you to StreamYard, the multi-streaming app makes this possible. Streaming to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and I think in the future I'm going to try streaming back into LinkedIn. I had they were a little weird one time, but you can multi-stream with StreamYard. So thanks StreamYard. His little intro. Cool. Thanks StreamYard. All right, cool. So we got Joost from the Netherlands. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. Maybe Joost.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see everyone here, yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, so people are coming in. So Jack, do you want to tell us about Influx Gallery? Give us a little intro about that a bit.
Yes, I'll do that. Influx Gallery is a gallery where we are showcasing the very best in contemporary art. It's turning into more of a photographer's gallery, the way things stand. We're quite proud that we're now hosting a formidable array of famous photographers under our banner. We're based in Notting Hill, London, and Northampton, and it's twin aims of obviously selling work and also curating physical and virtual shows. And we're really proud that we've got a formidable array of artists. Young Tyrone today is really pushing boundaries with his photography. He's an abstract street photographer, and he's part of a new generation of artists that's really pushing boundaries with his work. And it'll be exciting to listen to what Tyrone says about his creative process and his works today. This is Dylan's story of a gallery owner that we've created the gallery with. My business partner. He was my apprentice, but now he's upgraded to protege. His extreme talents.
Appreciate that.
Cool.
But yeah,
Nice.
it's really good.
And we're lucky to have such artists such as Andrew Kavanagh, Tyrone, Bridget Wagner,
Got some amazing
Patricia Burra. It's becoming like a who's who of famous photographers. So we feel very blessed.
Yeah, it's looking great. Looking great.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to remind everyone to check out the Influx Gallery, influx-gallery.com. And artist, I like the artist page. It takes you right there, you know.
Yeah.
See all the greats. So, and Tyrone, do you want to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about it, and then we'll jump into your work?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm Ty from Northampton as well as Jack. I've been doing photography for just a little over 10 years now. Starting with film cameras, 35mm film cameras, and then working my way into digital cameras. But along the journey, I've just been trying to sort of understand my own process, my own mind within photography. But yeah, I mean, I would call myself a a visual artist, abstract photographer, but at the minute it's as experimental as I want it to go, and I'm just sort of enjoying the journey.
Cool.
But yeah, thanks for listening. And I've got a lot of work to
Should we jump on over to the work? There we go. I'll bring you to the top as well. There we go. All right, cool. So we're showing your work now.
Nice. Okay, so just to begin, really. So, years back, I picked up a small disposable film camera, and I was using this just in a really sort of playful way. It was nothing serious at all. It wasn't like I was going out to find like really beautiful scenes. I didn't take it seriously at all. It was just like almost like a visual diary. I kept a small camera with me, and it was just something that I had fun with. I think the first sort of step towards photography and taking photos in this sort of playful manner was me and my cousins. We used to rollerblade, and we used to do like aggressive inline rollerblading, like grinding curves and doing like really spontaneous rollerblading, scraping our knees, all that, just playing around. And that was the first sort of moment where I would take all these shots. I had no idea what was on it. I put it into the the film lab, and then as soon as I got these images, it was like, wow, these moments, I've really sort of homed in on these moments, and they're alive, and they're forever now. And I think that blew me away, that you can home in on anything you want and make it something. You can make it everything. It wasn't just disposable to me, while using this disposable camera. It was something where I would take these photos and I could really connect with them in a certain way.
Cool.
But all this was happening in line with a sort of process of understanding what the image was about. So from then, I did put the camera down for a little bit, but then I picked up my camera later on, and I wanted to see, I was in a mind where I wanted to get into something where it had no bounds. I've dived in a few different artistic expressions. I used to dance, and I'm into a bit of fashion and stuff. But I feel like with photography, there's no finish line. It's very subjective. You can make it what you want. It's your rules. There's no like how to do with photography. Obviously, there's the technical side, but for me, it was like you can make this however you want to. It's just your playground.
Sure. And
that's the sort of approach I had with it when I first got into it. So this first zine here, this is the front cover of the first little booklet I made, where I put my work into some type of context, because the type of photographer that I am is a very sort of spontaneous one. I'd keep a small camera with me, and it would just be like little moments here to there. And this project was called From Here to There. And I was trying to connect different moments that were completely separate. I wasn't trying to intentionally take something and then think, okay, let me go out and then take something else and then try to pair these like two pieces together. It just happened sort of a process where I'd sit down and collate everything that I've got and just pair up similar images in terms of color or form, to really lightly like piece together these two moments. And these were very, very random images at first, but I thought, like, this is my way of understanding my process or how my mind works, or through aesthetic. Maybe all these moments they're all one. They're all a moment in my time that I can associate with and connect to. So these were all taken on 35mm camera. And at the same time, like I said before, it was nothing too serious. It was very light-hearted moments. I used to keep the camera around my neck, and it would just be, me and I think the one on the right here was my girlfriend. We're at the top of the bus. We stopped at a traffic light, and I told her to put a hand on the railing there. And then this other one, I just thought that, the colors just match like the sky blue. But something, it's not too refined. You can tell it's a bit spontaneous, and I liked that raw feel, that it was just moments that I can, just enjoy and just embrace. by taking photos. So this work was like, this is over 10 years old. So this is, down memory lane for me. And the same here, this is my partner on the right. And it was just a moment we shared together, like on the beach, but I thought the hairline of, and it's all composition based as well. Like, what composition can I get? What form can I get within that frame to match the other one? And diptychs was something that I thought was making my work have a bit of meaning or a bit of understanding to someone that was looking outwards. Because I think photographers, it's a bit of a it's a lonely wolf sort of sport in a way. Like, you're in your own head in a sense, and you know what you like, and it's really hard to share that with someone without sounding like, okay, this is what I like, try and understand it. You have to try and put it into some sort of context, and this is my context of pairing work.
It's beautiful abstract minimalism.
Yeah,
And the concepts of colours as well. Honestly,
brilliant,
incredible.
Thank you. So getting to the last of the film work, and literally end of the film. I don't know if I'm not sure there's lots of people who like shot film in the past here, but sometimes you get that dead roll at the end, and you get that fade slide. So the one on the left was like the dead shot. It didn't come out. I think it was a light leak, or it was just like the bit at the end of the film that they must have scanned in by accident. And I took the shot of my girlfriend on the right, and I thought the colours, that yellow line sits where the t-shirt falls. But this, it wasn't. It's always been just very personal shots. Just days in, days out. Just what can I see that would be beautiful? It doesn't have to be something that's made to look beautiful. It can be anything. You can make anything look beautiful with the right eye. It's how you see something, and that was my that's what I held and what I was trying to convey.
I love that title from Michael there, The Persistence of Memory. That's beautiful, Michael. It sums up some of the work that Tyrone is showcasing with us tonight.
Oh, nice. That is a nice name. I might have
I think there was also a René Magritte phrase, right? Wasn't that one of his titles?
It's funny you say that, Andrew, because Michael's actually given me more than a few titles for my work. He's a linguistic genius, shall we say.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
With words, I'm really bad at getting words to images sometimes, but I might need your help on that one.
That's where Michael helps me too.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So getting away from like the film stuff, I was shooting so often, and I couldn't really afford putting all this film into film labs and stuff, because it got quite expensive for me at the time, especially as a student. So I switched on to digital, but for me, transitioning over from film to digital, it almost felt like a new medium. I think the fact that you can see the picture straight away, and film has that effect that digital doesn't. You're playing with pixels straight away. With film, it's something real and tangible. And I think for me, it was the process after film. It was the process of deconstructing the world around me rather than taking moments. So I was experimenting with a lot of digital, very like close-up work, in the same manner of the disposable cameras. It was very like spontaneous moments, but for me, more so, it was more constructing, very sort of heavy composition in lines, really trying to understand the image or my perspective more so. I was trying to really get into touch of what I see and get into like the core of it. It almost came like an obsession, and I was still doing the same thing. I was connecting work as well, just to amplify it a little bit more. But here,
Tyrone, can you take a quick question?
Yeah. Cool.
So Little Kangoo Media Production says, "Hey, are these NFT or physical art, or I guess printed art?" Yeah.
I've dived into an NFT once, but more physical. I'm playing around with at the moment, just in terms of prints or little books. Cool. But yeah, NFT is a new world. I haven't really understood fully yet. but I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll
I think
probably talk about
all of us here are still like trying to figure out NFTs, right?
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Cool.
that 100%.
Nice.
So yeah, in the same manner as the last work, it was, you know, just really stripping down
Cool.
certain subjects. I was more attracted to like broken objects and reflections, edgy, more sort of edgy work, just because I was trying to challenge, you know, what I could see or what I can make look beautiful, rather than something that was traditionally beautiful. And you know, at the same time, I think when you're taking a lot of photographs, I think you're getting into a zone where you're understanding more and more about the work, but you're understanding yourself at the same time. And I was trying to connect that gap of, you know, why am I doing this? You know, why am I, you know, addicted or obsessed with taking photographs all the time? And how is it making me feel? What am I trying to express? And I think it was I think any type of artist, it comes from, it's within, you know, how do I feel? I'm going to try and paint that or capture that or make something that reflects something I'm trying to feel. I think that's core.
And Tyrone, Michael has a nice statement. He says, this art says I can bring something special to my everyday experience. That's cool.
I think, that sums it up perfectly.
Nice.
You know, you could be in any situation in your life or your surroundings, but you can still make something. You know, creativity has no bounds, you know.
Art has no rules.
Yeah. Definitely. So on this massive streak of taking photos, I would collate very similar photos. So this small book here, this scene, is just it's basically called Reflections, and it's just, you know, puddles on the floor, reflections of like water droplets on the floor, day and night, and I'll just try to like celebrate them through a little zine. Almost just like a reminder of, you know, just to put a category within my work and see what I can do with it. So I was having fun with this, and then I got into making the same thing about plants behind windows, because, you know, I'd go out and often enough I would see plants behind people's windows, and I think, you know, it's maybe a little bit intrusive, but I guess it's on show, and I was just taking a quick snap, and it's like, okay, you know, it's almost on show. Does it say something about the character behind the house, or? But I think it has this beauty, you know. I think it has this like mystery.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be part of a forest, a mysterious forest, or brilliant.
Coming through fog or something, right?
Yeah. You know, with the camera as well, like the scale is up to you. Like these could be giant plants, or, you know, like minuscule. I think the power of the frame, it holds no bounds, as I was saying earlier. But yeah, this was something that I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed like categorizing my work in a sense. It was something to try and organize a little bit of chaos of my mind at the time, and, you know, all the work that I had, which is in folders and folders and scattered around anywhere. I could be a bit more organized in that manner, but
I'm a big fan of how you collated them together as well, and the comparison of colors, and really good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I mean,
I like the feeling that, you know, these are photographs, but they feel like paintings. You know, they have a kind of a subdued depth of field that's kind of painterly that I like a lot. Yeah. Cool.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing as well. Sometimes at the start, you almost like you want the viewer to feel this way, but I think, you know, it's almost like a sense of intuition. You take a photograph based on how you feel. You just have to flow with it. You pair these photographs just how, you know, you would just naturally piece something together. And once it's pieced, you know, it's up to the, you know, the viewers to make what they want out of it. It can be, you know, it's so subjective. It can mean anything to anyone. At the start, it was more sort of, you know, I want someone to feel this way because I put this together, but I don't think it should be like that. I think once you've made something, you know, it's out there now. You know, it's almost like no longer yours in a sense. Yeah, I mean, from going back onto sort of the path that I was taking back then, I later got into a long distance relationship project, And I built this relationship with this French photographer, and we had a little bit of the same approach. So we thought, okay, why not, make something out of this? Like, why not collaborate? And I've never met the photographer. We've made 3 books out of it, just from pairing and piecing together work, emailing across, and doing the same thing, just really getting into this sort of heavy diptychs. What does he see? What does I see? And at first we worked on it for years, and we worked like so close where we thought, this try and really get our work matching in a sense, to the point where you don't realize whose work it is. And he was just obsessed as I was, and it was just an ongoing thing of like bouncing back and forward.
Could you tell us a little bit about the collaborative process involved? Did you do the edit first and then send it over to your friend, or was it vice versa?
It was, at first, it was a conversation of like, how do you want to link our work? And we thought, okay, this just starts slow. It wasn't a very strict way of working together. It was like, okay, if you send me something, I'll piece it together with something. If I send you something, or just see what you can do with it, edit it, go in Photoshop, do what you can. At first, we took all these like bizarre ideas of like making our work, but we thought just to keep it simple, and it was more about it was stripped down to just our visions close together. And we got these like really weird like eureka moments where we don't plan to shoot the same subjects, but we after a week long we'd send work back and forth, and this was one of them. Like, I sent the one on the right, he sent the one on the left, and it was like what the hell, like
so cool. It should be together.
Seamless.
It does look
very seamless.
It was we got really like trippy. It got really trippy and really like what is this collaboration? What does it mean in a sense? I think we brought our visions so close, and we got to understanding visually and artistically that we were almost like pinpointing the same aspects of our outer world.
Synchronized. Very synchronized. And there was like really odd moments in that in that respect. But it was really fun at the same time. I think sometimes artists, it is like I was saying before, it is like a sort of a lone wolf sort of thing. You go out and you share your vision with the world. But I think it's almost good to collaborate and share ideas, almost like music artists would, like collaborate, amplify different ideas, because you never know what you're going to get out of it, and it will feel different. It will be something totally unique, and you'll learn something about your work that you never knew. And I think that collaboration in specifically was it was a bit of a molder in terms of what my work held, and you just learn from different relationships in your life, right? Other than artistic collaborations, you learn from the people around you. You learn from your family, you learn from your friends, you swap ideas, and it was the same thing. It didn't matter that he lived this way or this way. But yeah, I thought it was come into fruition quite nice. Now this one reminds me of, it could be like a Brian Eno cover, or CD cover, album cover.
That's a big compliment, man. Thanks.
Yeah, he does a bit of art himself, with this kind of generating images and stuff, right? But,
oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's done some work. He's been in some American museums, of course, in Europe too. So.
Yeah, cool. Big fan of Brian Eno. But yeah, continuing on, it was the same sort of process for me. But then I got to a stage where I've taken so many photographs, and I still do, but I got into a way of how can I experiment with this further, almost like the transition from film to digital. It felt like a new world. I wanted to see what else I can do with it, just because it's fun to do so, and I wanted to see how far I could stretch certain bounds of my image, and then just embrace a photograph. So I made this project here. This work's from a book called Aesthetics, which is basically it's my core work, but then I've sort of just amplified, distorted the colors, brought out the pixels. You can see a bit of distortion with the colors, and just made it really sort of psychedelic in a sense.
It's
But I wanted
almost
to-
like a guitarist with a reverb pedal or something. Brilliant,
Very experimental.
brilliant psychedelics.
Yes, great colours as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it
It's
wasn't-
musical, right? It's musical in general. It has this feel that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I think all the arts can match up to be one in their own sort of language. It's like the hidden language, you know, photography, music, and I think they can all connect in a certain manner. But yeah, especially this, it was really fun just to, you know, almost I built up all these rules to take a photograph, and I just sort of broke them in a way. And it felt really refreshing, but you know, it was like, okay, there's an endless amount of ways you can present a photograph. It doesn't have to be the traditional sense, and it's up to you on how far you want to take it. And this was, you know, me just having fun with the photograph. But I really like just how the world just gets transformed. You know, like it wasn't like I remember taking that photograph, but now it's something else completely different, and it's like I don't know where I am anymore. You know. But yeah, this was a transition into the more experimental avenue of what I was.
So can I ask a question then?
Yeah.
So with a piece like this, is this like something that you see and then you take the photo and you kind of tune into it, or are you going back into areas and tweaking it in Photoshop and changing the colors of it? Is that like a zoned in photo, or is that like you going and like selecting areas and changing it? What'd you say?
Yeah. So the process. This would be like an old photo in my archive. I would pinch out, and I would literally, you know, a bit of just playing around in Photoshop, like just bending the color values, basically.
Okay, cool.
Bending color values, a little bit of 3D rendering, just making it pop, just seeing, you know, just bending it as much as possible. But I'll never. It wasn't one aspect at a time. It was all at once. If that makes sense. So yeah,
You transcended time.
Oh man.
Cool.
So psychedelic, that piece on the right. Love it. Graffiti, or it looks like a kind of graffiti, painterly, psychedelic.
It's like graffiti that's become electric, right? It's got
Yeah.
this,
100%.
Electrified graffiti, beautiful.
Yeah.
Tyrone, how long ago did you start to like experiment with the colours and stuff, like this sort of type of work? When did you start to experiment?
I think it was the beginning, just before COVID hit. I just got to a stage where actually, like, going into a story a little bit behind when I initially first started. So I was in my day-to-day job, and I'd literally go out every other lunchtime taking photographs in the area, just to the point where I exhausted the local areas. So I wasn't finding anything new. Like usually for me, it would be, you know, a new mindset, a new image. But I got to that point where the areas I wasn't just, you know, there was no inspiration for me. So it was almost like a point of like a frustration almost, because I was so free in my camera and I couldn't find it. I was at work, you know, at one of my lunch breaks, and it was like, okay, I need to find some freedom somewhere, you know, because I was so used to, as an artist, you have to stay free, I think, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought,
Yeah.
I'm just going to try and break my image, you know, all these rules that I put up. I thought just to bend it.
Quite
You know?
fresh after as well.
Deconstructing
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Deconstruction of photographic moors.
Yeah, it just got to that point, but it was so fun at the time, you know. I found it through editing my photos, which was cool at the time. And then I experimented some more just with like keeping my portrait image intact, but maybe like, you know, just throwing in multiple layers, and then just having this, you know, almost like diptychs because the colors match, but just like, you know,
one of what
collage of work basically.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes, so what I've noticed, Tyrone, is as well as you've moved more and more into photographic collage, so you're getting taking multiple pictures and compositing them and collaging them with new wave psychedelics and futurism. The collage aspect, is that what you were mentioning earlier that came during the early COVID period, like, with the experimentation and?
It was at first it was like the color values, but then I thought that triggered the experimental sort of avenue in my mind where it was like, okay, let me try and see what I can do other than just take images. Let me see how I can present them differently, rather than the traditional sense. That sort of opened the door to it. That the first sort of color value tricks.
It's very interesting to myself because I do a lot of collage, and I know Andrew is very well versed in the digital collage as well. So it's just really interesting to see collage done from a unique and differing perspective to what we do.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time as well, I always keep this because I always root back to my first inspiration was to keep things quite raw for myself personally. It was, you know, I like a bit of sort of rough edge, or like where you can see the process almost, or you can see a bit of error, or you can almost relate to what I'm doing here. So those like basic collages with like the images just in screen, I just wanted to keep it, you know, as simple as possible, but just still keep it about the image. But everyone will make their own different collage style, and there's a whole sort of universe within collaging.
Yeah, of course.
But I still want to root it down to when I first took that photo. I still want to make that evident. But you know, Photoshop is so tempting. There's so many different buttons. So you can get lost in it. And I think, you know, it's fun to get lost in experimenting with your work. You know, you should always try something a bit new, just to, you know, keep your mind ticking in an inspiration sense. At least for me, you know, everyone's got their own process.
Tom, with your work and stuff, do you feel like you've sort of, when you look back, you like feel nostalgic for what you've achieved and how far you've come when you first started with the original film camera and then you moved on to experimenting and stuff? Do you still feel that sort of like nostalgic feeling when you look at your work for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because I think like each moment in the process sparks the next process. So it's like, you know, all that drive and that energy back then is still evolving, it's still going, it's still a continuation. So when I look back, it's like, you know, I could never take those images again. Like even if I wanted to, because the energy was different back then. I was a different me, the mindset was different. And, you know, the hardest part about nostalgia, I think, is you'll never get it again. And I know I could never take photos like that again, because it's a really weird thing. Of course, I could go back to the same moment and stuff, but it just wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't sit.
That was you then when you was taking them photos, for example.
Yeah.
That was you on that.
Yeah. I think it's almost like an image is a sacred moment in time, and it can't be replicated. I think anything you make is stamped in time and stamped for yourself. I think, you know.
Cool.
Completely agree.
Right, where was I next? I'm trying to think. Okay, so this is
William.
Yeah,
so
wicked.
It's still in the sort of the collage phase, I would say. Right now, this is what I'm experimenting with right now, which is I'm layering images, and I'm picking out pieces just to, you know, nab away, but I'm doing it in, you know, in a rough cut asset. You know, I'm still trying to leave a little bit of error behind. Fragments and details of the image left away that you can see on top, and sort of uncovering another photo. But I'm trying to, you know, still relate these two photos in some sense. I'm still trying to make. I'm always trying to like create a world now, which is almost, it's interesting because rooting back to just photographs, you're creating a world there, but I'm trying to extend that and make something. I'm trying to almost like crunch them down and make something else new. It's really, you know, I'm sure like anyone's process, it's quite hard to explain. It's just experimenting with that same sort of like that flavor of collaging, but just doing it a little bit more sort of glitchy and sort of like in more sort of like a detailed sort of aspect, without blabbering on.
Nice. Yeah, I like these images where they have this feeling of it's a composition, and yet the elements of the collage, the texture, looks like it's moving. It has this almost like a moving quality to it as well. So
yeah, that's a really interesting take.
Cool.
I think, you know, sometimes when you get lost in with a specific piece, you can see things, you can almost like feel things. I think at the same time, when I made this work, I was almost getting lost while making it, you know. I think with a viewer, you know, you almost get lost within these details, lost within this world, because it makes sense in aspects, but not, you know, you're still trying to work out where I am within this, you know, this new line of work and whatnot. But it's very new to me. It's very sort of fun to me to make this, you know, retrieve old work, old archive work, take new work, still keep my core work going, but then just, you know, throw in something else new at it and presenting it differently. But it's, you know, I think it's almost like you know, I'm celebrating textures as well. I mean, because I was a very sort of texture heavy, but, you know, having these two different worlds, like almost like colliding. You would never see. I think on the right, I'll tell you what they were. I think on the right they were like, because I own like so many like different pattern socks, right? That's one of my so I think I just blurred the image behind is one of my color socks. I slightly blurred it, but on top you've got like the peeling metal from like a yellow skip. You would never see, you know, would you see them textures together? Would you see that sort of like, you know, then two sort of skills together, like you sort of the fading of the photo together. It is a digital new world for me, you know. Sorry, I'm blabbering now. I'm just trying to, you know.
No, this is great, Tyrone.
Yeah, it goes together so well, and the colours as well.
One question, Tyrone. The one on the right, actually, both of them, they look like you use a different array of Photoshop brushes. Am I right? Just out of curiosity.
No. Just it's more simple than you think. It's more simple than you think. It's just, yeah, it's basically just like multiple images. Sometimes it's like 4 or 5 images. Sometimes it's just 2. And I'm just nabbing away a few. Select tool, or it could be. Actually, I have used a few paintbrushes within photos, but usually it's just taken away. It's just literally ripping out aspects, just deleting and just revealing what's underneath.
See, I'm a big fan of abstract painting, and this piece on the left is just brilliant. And myself and my fellow Influx colleague Dominic Abbey, we've been to many art galleries around the world, and your work is, especially with this piece, it'd be hard to say whether it was a photograph or a painting. Just brilliant, or a piece of graffiti even.
Yeah, I think it's definitely between worlds.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a photo of graffiti, but obviously behind it, I think I've merged it was taken through a window, and you can see the condensation.
You can see the window condensation.
But the funny thing is, like, you know, when these two photos have collided, you can see like right at the top, I think there were like really little strokes of graffiti, but I've ripped that through as well, and it almost looks like birds to me. So you can see like through this window. Yeah. But it wasn't intentionally. Like sometimes, you know, you can see things later on. But you know, that's something that maybe is meant to happen between these photos. I think that's the surprise as well. When you take photos together, you can see new things. You almost like you're seeing a new world entirely.
Michael's coming up with classic titles for you, left, right, and centre, Tyrone.
Oh man, can you send me a whole list? You email that me.
Need to record this.
Tyrone, with this sort of work, the more I look at it, the more I see something different, and it's like, oh, something different, and so I think that's
multifaceted and it's deep.
Absolutely, yeah. There's so many different levels to it, like honestly,
different realms of human consciousness as well. I love it.
And are these images like kind of book sized? Are the dimensions like for book sized, or do you also have like larger versions that you could blow up for like a wall for a gallery?
I've still kept the same sort of principle of my early work, which is, you know, I carry around like premium contacts, a contact small camera. It's a really, you know, just so I can keep it on me at all times. I would say for book, but I can print pretty big, pretty large. Okay. I'm working with some decent equipment nowadays, but I usually just think in line of books. But of course, I'm trying to get into selling like more and more prints. So it's definitely these are more than printable. Yeah.
Cool.
And the funny thing is as well, like usually, like within this process from an early age, it's always been about just textures and just mundane subjects that are away from people. I've kept it the core urban, abstract, street photography, if I was to put it in a bracket. And I've usually kept my portraits very separate. I did dabble in a little bit of portrait photography when I was in uni, but it was always more of a side project. Other than my partner in my early film days, but as the process went on to digital work, it was all more sort of core and deconstructing the environment. But with this series here, I've tried to sort of revive a few portraits and mix the element of collage and or sort of glitching work together, which is interesting because it's bringing out certain sides of the work that I'll keep away and making something new of it, and I'm accepting it now. And it's a twist on our environment and the people around it. I think without saying too much about it, I usually just make the work and let it kind of speak for itself. But it's an interesting one where the environment is layered on the body a little bit. It just it kind of speaks on us and the environment. We are one in a sense, and the relationship between us. But most of my portraits they're not really set up as usual. They're usually just very spontaneous, as well as my like the core urban environment, environmental photography. So they're kind of similar in that aspect, but to piece them together, I'm trying to create a bit of a collide again and see where that takes it.
Cool.
Yeah, the same thing here.
See, this smacks of street art to me. Very street art orientated image.
Is this like, do you take, so obviously if there's a lot of yellows in the head and stuff, did you take two photos, add it together, or was it one photo manipulated? How did you?
Yeah, this is two photos together and doing like the same thing, just ripping out aspects. And usually it's a process of what like I can see almost like matches the person in a sense, or sometimes usually before it would just be color and forms, like how can I match them, but sometimes I'm trying to go for a bit of a contrast in the portrait sort of collages. But it's just fun to me, it's just fun, and going down this process just trying to understand the image. But I feel like because I was so adamant on just keeping it very raw, just straight out the camera, I'm trying to just break the bounds a little bit, but still keeping, it's only images you can see. It's still only images you can see at the end of the day. This was a self-portrait on a textured, I think it was a plastic surface. You can see me slightly there. You can see my camera, see that little black block. But on top, it was a reflection puddle shot. So there's still the same subject. I've just brought them together. But to summarize everything, I think I've got to the point where it is very abstract. I'm playing with an abstract expression throughout my imagery.
Cool.
Sorry, I've probably baffled a bit too much now.
No, not at all. Could you tell us a little bit about the world of zines, Tyrone? I know you're heavily immersed in the production, and you've published quite a few zines yourself. I don't know about Andrew, but I'm not really well versed on zine matters, but I know that they are popping at the moment, as you told me the other day. I know I've reserved one of your zines from you because I do like a photography book myself. I'm looking forward to receiving that.
It's got your name on it, man. It's got your name on it.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Limited edition, and that'll be worth a fortune in years to come.
I don't know. Oh, man. Nice one. Yeah, I mean, for me, it got to the point where it was just really good to, because it's good to see your work digitally on screens and stuff, and that was what I was used to doing. I was used to uploading my work onto photo sites like Flickr. Obviously, Instagram is a big one now. It's so good to see your work digitally and seeing people's, comments and seeing it within that world. Because at the end of the day, it is almost like it's an umbrella. You're viewing it within that within that space.
Yeah.
I think
it's
when
not
you
there
make,
forever, is it? It's not there forever online.
yeah,
Whereas, a tangible physical piece, it's it's there for the collector, or the collector of the zines, or the collector of the published art.
of
Physical.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
I think with a zine as well. I think you're inviting them into your world or an aspect of your world, and you get to say they're on a journey basically. When they read that, they're in a realm within your work, and it's up to you as the creator when you're piecing the work together and you're putting something into print. You're choosing how that person is going to view your work in a sense, or how they're going to enter your space. So it's just nice to have something like only you.
Dimension in terms of a series as well, because when I think of a series in a photography competition, for instance, it's 6 to 8 images. But with the zine, you're looking to really build on that and make it a lot more in depth. Sometimes with your work, it can be over 50 images in, which is amazing. So you can really build the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing like it. If you buy something, if you buy a book off someone, it's yours. You've got it in your hand. You can view it anywhere. It doesn't require, you're not going to get like apps popping up and stuff at the same time, or it's yours to hold. And over years you can make it look a bit rough and tumble. You can keep it pristine. It's yours. It's real. It's so nice seeing work come to life. And at first I was in love with a good few photographers at the stage that were, I was very inspired by, and I was looking at certain publishers, what they were into and stuff, and they were getting published by, and I was like, maybe my work does have a little bit of an avenue where people can understand it, because I was a bit lost of how I can put my work out there. And zines for me was the first sort of introduction of me putting myself out there in a sense that, people can buy, and who knows going to see it. People can pass it to their friend, and it's something people can treasure a little bit. I was just obsessed by that idea, and I was in love by that, that whole idea. So, I got into making my own sequencing on InDesign through uni, and I was really driven to try and push it out there as any way as I can. So I would, approach publishers. You just, you make a whole sequence of your work, and if they like it, they give you feedback and want to take it on. If they don't, then nothing. It doesn't always work out. But I think if you're driven, you want to put it out there, you can always find the right person that believes your work. It's not just here's a photography publisher, whether they publish my work or not. There's a whole spectrum within photography, all different types of minds in photography. It's like a tree. Find the right pocket. And I was just obsessed by like contextualizing just a part of your work and having it. And it's good. I think it was good. It was good for the sort of visual diary sort of momentum I was keeping as well. It was like, okay, that's that project. That was that side of me back then. 2 years sort of time when I was focused on that. I can put it away now. It was more so flowing into that. And I think from that, I built like a little bit of momentum where, I'd get people that would regularly buy my work, which is amazing. You can't ask for nothing more to inspire people. But that's how I got into it. Really.
Cool.
So Michael has a question. He says, have you considered trying to tackle images from your dreams? It'd be a different approach, I guess.
As in tackle images, as in like you dream of something and like I'll still want to capture the same aspects that I saw and make it.
I guess reproduce it in some form after you've had the dream. Yeah.
I think it's all connected. I think I've definitely had dreams where I've carried a feeling, I think, when you get a dream, where I think all artists do, where you have a dream and you wake up the next day and sometimes you don't remember everything, but the feeling's still there. Like for the first hour or two, it might have sparked something. I think I've always carried trying to find a bit of subconscious feeling and try and express that. I think that's where my obsession came in. It's not just how can I make something visually interesting. It was like, what do I really find inspiring in my mind? All these like free flowing thoughts. What is the highest aspect of that? Without going a bit mad here, I'm just trying to taking a trip into my head a little bit. But it's just trying to highlight certain key elements of what you find. It could be like, when you play, like, to answer your question, 100%. But I think, like when you listen to music and there's like one aspect of it, like 3 seconds, that just takes you away, like for a minute. It's just that key moment. It's personal to everyone. It's the same thing with photography. I think you're just trying to catch that little thing that just sends you up and keeps, inspiration alive, keeps fire burning. I think it's always, dreams. I've definitely drawn inspiration over the years.
A lot of our ideas as artists can come from the unconscious too. So when you're dreaming, it's unconscious thoughts that you translate we translate into our works. And I definitely see that in your work, Tyrone, and definitely in Michael's, because Michael's dealing with a lot of spiritual. You'll see on the next live show, we're going to have Michael Benz from Tucson, Arizona. Very special photographer. I'm honoured that he's here as well. So you'll see definitely his dream-like photography, and you'll know what I'm talking about more when we watch the show.
I think yours, Jack, though, to be fair, yours remind me of dreams 100%. It's got that surrealism. That surrealism, it just takes you away. It's like, have I seen that? Have I seen that in my dreams? Like how, it definitely has that, man. Props to your work, man. Love it.
I appreciate it, Tyrone. Well, we're honoured to have you on board with the Influx Gallery, and like I said, you're to me, you're at the forefront of this new generation of photographers that's really pushing boundaries, and it's right up my street. And I'm just honoured to have you on board and to promote your work and sell your work as well.
Oh no, cheers, man. Likewise, and saying to you, like you're saying to me, like it's. You're on the. You inspire me, man. As soon as I saw your work, because I've not, I've come to know your work within a year. Like you live so close.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw it, amazing stuff. Without
absolutely the same. So we have mutual friend Ben. Big shout out to Ben Walton and Sheldon Morrison. The first time he said, "Oh, my friend's a photographer," and he showed me, and he went, "He takes pictures of fences." And I looked at your work, it blew me away. And I thought, these are the most stunning pictures of fences I've ever seen in my life.
Honestly.
And this was about 2-3 years ago, before you'd actually started experiment. It's still, your early work for me is still very experimental, but in a different way.
You see the progression as well.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, thank you. No, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, Ben was always bigging you up, because I did a few shoots of his band, and he was always. And then I looked at your work, and then I instantly became a fan from the first moment I saw it. Really.
Cool.
Too kind, man. Too kind. Thank you. Thank you both.
So, Tyrone, did you have more work to show, or did you want me to kind of start giving some shout outs to links and stuff? Yeah.
I think I've got a couple more images, but it's
okay, cool.
It is the same. It's the same project. More sort of this portrait, experimental body of work. Cool. Who knows on the next phase? That's about that's where I am at the moment.
Yeah.
In terms of experimenting.
I like how you experimented a lot through the progression as well. There's different aspects, different things used as well. Some real good work.
That's really cool. I love how it's different textures and colours and levels of blur.
They still go perfect together, even though there's different textures. Like it still fits.
Yeah. Always trying to find like a correlation between the two.
Which clearly you have. Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Cool.
you know, the journey continues. It doesn't stop. Like I said, you know, when I first got into it, I didn't get into it to try and achieve a finish line. You know, it goes as far as you want to, as far as you want to make it. You know, it's boundless. I think we should always try and, you know, remember that you never get to a state where, even if you're uninspired, there's always another way. You can always see a way to progress your own work or progress your own mind in terms of inspiration.
So Tyrone, in terms of influence, for myself, I'd say that paintings, cinema, and definitely music, because my prior career was a rare record seller of rare music, rare LPs, and that's had a huge influence upon the creation of my own art. What would you say is the main influence behind your works? Is it musical based or film or?
I do get inspiration from music more so rather than film. I do like, you know, a touch of fashion as well, but usually I think it's, especially like my core work, it's all like, you know, internal. I think trying to understand yourself within this realm we're in, you know, within this world, within this life you're in. It's all very internal, and it speaks to try and, you know, uncover that hidden world that is all, you know, within us all. Where does inspiration come from? Like, you know, what sends you work? It's all these sort of inner workings that I'm trying to understand through, you know, making work. You know, I think that's been the source of my inspiration for a long time. But, you know, I've never shut off to inspiration from anything. You know, I see art. If it speaks to, if art speaks to you, it speaks to you. If music speaks to you and it can uplift you, I can still gather inspiration from that. I think it's all sort of interlinked. But, you know, the core of it is, you know, what am I trying to express through the work, trying to understand myself. Because, you know, that is, as we all know, that's very complex. You know, day-to-day changes, we're in a different mindset, just carries on. It's the continuation of learning and understanding.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, when it comes to music, for me, I'll listen to music and I'll love something so much that I'll be like, I want to create a visual representation of that. But for me, it's like, I almost love music so much that I never wanted to be a musician. It was like sacred or something. But I got into visual arts because that became very natural to me, you know. So
nice.
I was going to say, with your work, Andrew, you've introduced me to some incredible electronica. For right. Some of it from the UK that I'd never heard of, like bands like Play and stuff like that. And I know that for yourself, music's a huge part of the process. So you have it on in the background, and then your unconscious imaginings come to life. You produce your dreamlike masterpieces, in my opinion, anyway.
Cool. Yeah, they are beautiful, man. They do take you away. You're gonna have to send me some of your music archives, catalogs, man.
Right. Like for my YouTube lists, you know, I got YouTube music lists, you know. But so should I give some shout outs to the different links, ways they can follow us?
Please do.
Is that good? Or Tyrone, or did you have some more images you wanted to show?
That's fine, cool? Man. Yeah.
Okay.
All good with me.
I didn't want to cut you off. It's great work. Let's see here. We have a comment here. So Michael says music and images share many of the same compositional elements. Yeah, that's a good point. 100%. And my friend Andrea, happy teach. She says beautiful work. And then Hannah says her plane was 2 hours late, but she didn't even notice. Thank you, Tyrone, for brightening up my disastrous evening. Wonderful work and talent. Andrew Jack Dillon, thanks to you too as well. Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Maria says, love seeing Tyrone's journey, how his art is continuously evolving in vibrant textures and colors of his latest images. Such an exciting artist to have on your show. Thank you for sharing. Cool.
Nice one. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. And so let's share some links. Follow us everywhere. So first is, check out the Influx Gallery of Artists. So influxgallery.com artists. And it seems like Jack is adding new artists all the time. So it's pretty exciting. You check it out and there's shifting around, some new stuff all the time. Right, Jack?
Yeah. We're building a very powerful roster of brilliant artists. Yeah. So we wanted it to be, initially we thought there was going to be more painters and sculpture artists, but it's turned out to be more of a photographer's gallery. We're happy with that, but we are looking for some different mediums to come on board with our vision, which will come in time. We've our open call has been released this month called Emergence, and we've had quite a few submissions for that.
A lot more painters.
Yeah, so quite a few more painters and stuff like that. So
Excellent.
it's exciting times for us.
So yeah, so speaking of Influx Gallery, you can find Tyrone there at influxgallery.com, Tyrone Williams. And then also Tyrone on Instagram, com. TS Wills. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm. Nice one.
The abbreviations for it.
That's it.
And then you can follow Jack at savagedart.com. I like that, savaged art.
Yeah. That was actually Dylan's suggestion, weren't it? For
It
the
was.
website.
Cool.
Well,
That's the alter ego, man. I play, man. Savage. Nice.
We've got to keep going to family name, haven't I? So.
no.
And then Jack is also on Instagram, Jack Savage _photo. Yep. And I'm on Influx, Andrew-Kavanagh, as well as on Instagram, Digital Artist Drew. And then my YouTube channel is Digital Art Drew. So make sure to subscribe for these digital art lives, as well as Adobe and Photoshop and photography focused live streams, tutorials. Digital Art Drew. I just passed 1,000 subscribers recently, but now I need a bunch of watch hours. So share with all your friends, have them watch as much as they can, you know, all the long videos. Watch.
Definitely.
Cool. And so yeah, Digital Art Drew on YouTube. And then please come join my digital art group on Facebook, facebook.com groups, The Digital Art Group, or just type in digital art in the top left. It's about 2,000 members, pretty new, but going strong. So yeah, great stuff, Tyrone. And thanks for being here, showing your work. It's great to see, and great to see it in the gallery, in the zine. And I'd like to see it in a big gallery printed on the wall as well, you know?
Yeah.
Nah,
Large
thanks,
scale.
man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Large scale would be amazing. Size of a house.
Michael says thank you all. Yeah.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Michael.
And my friend Andrea, Happy Teach, says watch. So yeah, go Digital Art Drew, YouTube.
Thanks, Andrea.
Cool. But yeah, this is great. Thank you so much, Tyrone, taking us into your world. Thanks, Jack, for Jack and Dylan for the Influx Gallery.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew,
We appreciate the time.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. And as Jack said, we'll be having a series of these. So we're going to keep showcasing artists. And then I have some ideas of bringing some artists together and maybe even doing some live art kind of compilation works. So we'll see how that plays out. But thanks everyone for watching. And as usual, just keep your eye out on the different sharings that we all do. The link will be on YouTube, so you can watch it again and again and share it with your friends. Thank you all. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care of yourself, Andrew.
Take care. Thank you.
Have a good one.